Welcome back, fellas, to another NFL Sunday. We have a sizable slate, obviously, as we have some Saturday games to take over some of these Sunday games, and we still have our Monday night games. But we are going to be going over our Sunday slate here. I have 5 plays that I really like. I have a few leans that I'm going to go over, and let's waste no time and hop straight into the video. Obviously, we're going to be starting on, not Underdog Fantasy, we're going to be starting on Pickett as we do always. Make sure if you're not on Pickett, use code BDGE when you sign up. And if you want a screen like this on the desktop to see it in full, make sure to use Pickett Pro. I think it's only like $20-something a month. You can still take advantage and get this. Plus, you'll see CLVs. Plus, you'll be able to see almost a lot of cool other shit, betting stuff. Hedge. They just added a new hedge feature, which is really cool, that notifies you when to hedge and when not to hedge. But again, we have the Detroit Lions versus the Chicago Bears, the Browns versus the Bengals, Eagles versus Commanders, Cardinals versus Panthers, which has sneaky, juicy slate. And then the Rams, Jets, Giants, Falcons, Titans, Colts, Vikings, Seattle, Niners, Dolphins, Patriots, Bills, Jags, Raiders, and then the last game is going to be the Bucks and Cowboys. So those are the games we're going to be going over. And obviously Monday night you have the Saints, Packers, which should be an interesting game in itself, but probably will be a blowout. Starting on Underdog Fantasy, as we always do. Make sure if you're not on Underdog Fantasy, use code BDGE when you sign up, because you'll get a free square of Baker Mayfield to go over just half a passing yard. So make sure you take advantage of that and lock in. Starting with the Philly versus Washington game, I don't have a play here that's official, but I would lean the Terry under. Last time he played this Philly team, he had 10 total receiving yards on 2 targets, and they made the focus of that day to be Quinyon Mitchell. Go follow Terry McLaurin. We're going to shade over top. He's not touching the fucking ball. I think it's going to be probably a similar story here today. In this game, at least tomorrow. So I think Terry's going to easily go under this line. Once again, 62.5 just feels way too high versus Quinyon Mitchell, who's been shutting down damn near everybody he has played against. Detroit versus Chicago. My favorite line is Jahmyr Gibbs over 90.5 rushing yards. I feel fantastic about this line. I'll give you some stats to read. I'll give you some numbers that you're going to like. Jahmyr Gibbs is feasted without Monty this season. This season, without Monty, he's had 17 touches, 160 yards. 22 touches, 99 yards. 13 touches, 114 yards, and 2 touchdowns in every single game. Now with Monty out last season, he had 20 touches for 126 yards and a touchdown, and 31 touches for 189 yards and 1 touchdown. When Monty is out, he's truly a league winner in fantasy. He's a league winner for your bet slips. 90 rushing yards feels like nothing versus Chicago defense. That allows the 3rd most rushing yards to opposing running backs that average 117 rushing yards per game. They're also favorites in this game by 6.5, so I expect them to be up for most of this game. Not only that, but Gibbs recorded a 2.4 yards before contact per carry, which is the 3rd most in the NFL, with his speed being 11.83 miles per hour at the line of scrimmage, which is the 4th fastest in the NFL, only sitting really behind Saquon Barkley and a few others. The Bears defense contacted opposing running backs behind the line of scrimmage at 43% of their carries outside the tackles this season. That is the 4th lowest in the NFL. And the Bears also allow a plus 144 rushing yard over expected, which is the 7th most in the entire league. So again, just a lot of numbers to back up Jahmyr Gibbs absolutely crushing it this season and absolutely crushing it in this line. I really like this spot. I also like his total yards if you want to lean that as well. 123. No, it feels high, but for a talent like this, you got to take it. I think he easily smashes over this mark. That's all I do have for that game. We're going to keep it pushing, though. The Rams versus the Jets. I really don't have anything in this game that I like. We can move on next. Arizona Cardinals versus the Carolina Panthers. I do have a few bets in this one that I like. James Conner over 82.5 rushing yards. I feel really good about. Obviously, he's crushed this line and been cooking recently. He recently rushed for 90 and 110 in his last 2 games, and now is a perfect matchup versus Carolina, who allows the most rushing attempts to opposing running backs this season, which gives obviously Connor more chances to run the ball. But Carolina also is dead last in stopping running backs as they give up 138 rushing yards per game. We have no D-line. We have no ability to stop the run. We haven't been able to stop the run the entirety of the year. I think he's going to run all over the Panthers here, and he's going to easily smash over this 82.5 mark. We obviously just got cooked by Rico Dowell. I think it's going to be something similar here with James Conner. But in that same game, I also like his alt line at plus 100 if you want to take that. If you want to take that as well, that's also good value if you want to do that. But the other play I have in this game, I have 2 plays in this game. Trey McBride over 68.5 receiving yards feels fantastic. He's hit this in 5 of the last 5 games, 7 of the last 10 games, averaging 92 receiving yards in each of the last 5 games, soaring over this line easily. He's seen a 30% target share with a 37% target share in the red zone, which is why I also like his anytime touchdown. I like his anytime touchdown and his receiving yards. I know you're probably like, God, that's such a bait to score his anytime touchdown this week, but I think it's due. Kyler Murray posted about it. He's due. He's playing Carolina Panthers, who allow the 4th most receiving yards to tight ends and allow the 4th most receiving yak to tight ends. He should find the end zone. We fucking suck at defense. I think he finds it in the end zone. I'm expecting a masterclass from Trey McBride today. And I think both of these things can happen with James Conner and Trey McBride, and he easily goes over this mark. On the opposite side of things, for the Panthers side of things, I really do like Jalen Cooker to go over 43.5 receiving yards. I know it sounds insane. Half of you are probably like, who the fuck is Jalen Cooker? Jalen Cooker's a rookie this season for the Panthers who's turned into one of Bryce's favorite targets. Over the past few games, he's really taken off. He obviously had that huge reception last week, which turned into 118 total yards for him. But he's seen 6+ targets in 3 of the last 4 games. There's no Xavier Leggett in this game, which is going to be huge. So he should see increased target share. He saw 8 targets last game. I expect something similar for that in this game against an Arizona defense that allows the 9th most receiving yards to opposing wide receivers and the 7th most receptions. So again, I feel like that's a really good bet for a team that's probably going to be down in this game, and they're going to need to sling the rock. And Bryce has looked good, so I want to be betting on him in this matchup. Cincinnati, Cleveland, don't have anything, don't have any leans, don't really love it. Jalen Cooker would be a play here, by the way. Atlanta, the Giants, chalked. Indy, here's a lean. I like Jonathan Taylor over 20.5 rushing attempts. He's hit over this in 4 of the last 5 games, averaging 21 rush attempts per game. It's just a lean, but Tennessee allows the 11th most rushing attempts per game. Chase Brown just had 25 rushing attempts on this team. I think Indy's up most of this game. It's just a lean, but I do really like that play. Minnesota, Seattle, there's still some up in the air questions. I'm leaving that out. San Francisco, Miami, don't like. Buffalo, New England, I do really like Ramondre to go over 49.5 rushing yards. Ramondre has crushed this line recently for the last 5 games this season, averaging 60 yards a game. Buffalo allows the 11th most rushing yards per game and has seen 13+ attempts in 4 of the last 5 games this season. So again, I expect him to absolutely smash over this mark. As he has in recent games. He's had 70+ rushing yards in 4 of those games. And he's seeing 13+ attempts in damn near every game. He's seeing up to 20 attempts in some games. So I expect him to have a pretty good volume here, even against a Buffalo team that has been rolling. I have nothing for Jacksonville versus the Raiders. That's a chalk game. Now for Sunday night, I do have a few plays that I really like. Mike Evans over receiving yards. Everybody and their mom is taking this line, but that's because he needs 83 receiving yards per game on a per-game basis to hit his 1,000-yard mark. You know he's going to be chasing it. 83 yards is nothing for Mike Evans. I think he's going to continue crushing this. We got this at 75.5 receiving yards, which makes me feel even better about this line. Obviously, he's been cooking, averaging 104 receiving yards in his last 4 games. And he's had 749 receiving yards in 2024, leaving only 83.7 receiving yards to be exact to get his 1,000-yard marker. Obviously, he's targeting on 32.4% of his routes since week 12, which is a very, very high target share. And as a deep threat, he's just unmatched with the Mayfield, and he loves to throw him down the field as Dallas ranks 4th in deep passes and explosive plays in the pass game this season. I expect him to have some pretty big pass plays let up. Mike Evans should have a pretty long one here, kind of like Jamar Chase did the last time he played Dallas. I think Mike Evans can have a pretty long reception here. I also love CeeDee Lamb to go over 6.5 receptions. This one he's crushed in 6 of the last 10 games. Great matchup versus Tampa Bay defense that stinks versus the pass. In the last 10 games, averaging 11 targets per game while averaging 7 catches. CeeDee's had a 28% target share on routes while also seeing a 27% team target share. And he's clearly the focal point of this. Tampa Bay allows the 2nd most receptions to opposing wide receivers, and that gives CeeDee Lamb just an even better shot. I think he's going to continue to crush this mark as well. So I love that spot. The other leans I love Rico Dowdle to go over rushing yards. He's been obviously playing out of his fucking mind. Now goes against the Tampa defense that feels very susceptible to big plays. Averaging 102 rushing yards per game over the past 5 games. He's seen an increase in rushing attempts over the past few games, 19, 22, 18, and 25 rush attempts over the past few games. So that feels like it's a pretty good value there, as well as Baker Mayfield to rush for 9.5 rushing yards. You're probably like, God, that sounds stupid, but Baker Mayfield has had over 9.5 rushing yards in 11 of 14 games this season. That is 79% of games. Dallas also allowed 4 of the last 6 quarterbacks to run for 15-plus yards, so they've been awful at stopping quarterback scrambles. I think this is going to be one of them. They're allowing the second most rushing attempts to opposing quarterbacks, as well as the third most rushing yards to opposing quarterbacks, so I expect them to let up some pretty big plays here to Bake, who's definitely going to scoot a few times this game. That is all I have for Sunday. I fired through it fast. If you have any questions, make sure to comment down below, and I'll be trying to get to you as soon as possible. I'm going to be traveling this weekend, so there are going to be definitely a few times where it's going to be hard for me to get there, but I'm going to try my best. The best way to reach me is in the Discord. Make sure to join that down below. It's absolutely free. There's zero price to it. You're just going to lock in with the boys and have a good time winning some bets. But I'll catch you guys next time. Make sure to like, subscribe, all that sort of fun shit down below. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.